Welcome to another episode of Shiftaholics. In this episode we're going to check out my 2010 Subaru Forester Premium. It's naturally aspirated. As most of you know, the XT is the turbo. But you know, I've done a lot of stuff within within the realm of keeping the drivetrain the same, original. So it's not I haven't fitted a turbo on it yet, but I think the engine swap is coming soon. And we'll have videos for you with with the swap and everything else. But for now, let's go out and check out my Subaru Forester. So we are here with my 2010 Subaru Forester Premium. As you can see from the lack of a hood scoop, it is naturally aspirated. The premium models are, which is just a 2.5 liter boxer engine, which is what Subaru is known for, those boxer motors. But as you can see, this one is very different. Obviously, it's not stock. There's been a lot of done to it. I would have went with the XT, which is the turbocharged version, but unfortunately, in these years, the turbocharged version only came in automatic. So here at Shiftaholics, we hate automatics, so that wasn't an option. So I figured it would be just easier just to buy a manual, till which time I could do the turbo swap. So I haven't got to that yet, but let me tell you what I did do. Obviously, cosmetically, there's this addition that makes it look like the STI models that they have in Japan. Obviously, it's not it's not a stock STI bumper. That's just an addition that's double taped and bolted on. We did that two-tone combo, kind of like Audi style. I think it's pretty cool. If you can see, we basically masked it off and painted most of the car. Just to make sure that everything, the paint matches well. And I know it's missing the fog lights. I actually do have them, but I haven't had time to put them in. But let me tell you some more. It has the side skirts. The wheels are stock. The brakes are upgraded. The front brakes, the rear brakes are stock. They're brand new, obviously. Every wear and tear part was replaced. If anyone wanna know where I got this from, this is actually from a Mercedes that was just lying around the shop, and we didn't have any use for it, so I figured let's glue it on. So I know it's a little tacky, but it looks definitely doesn't look stock. I added the rear diffuser, spoilers, this little piece, and believe me, this was a hassle putting it on. All this aftermarket stuff, it's just, it doesn't want to bend. Like, this keeps ungluing. So it's a labor of love, I guess. As far as, so cosmetic is fairly obvious what's been done. As far as mechanical, we're talking about 1.5 inch drop all around. It's on Swift springs with the KYB G shocks, XL G shocks, struts, whatever you call them. And there are many suspension upgrades. I don't know if you can see, besides the brakes, we have the control arm bushings. Everything is everything's been upgraded. It's much beefier, you know, so it's you know, it does improve the ride tremendously, the handling. Although you know, it does make it a little rougher. I upgraded the sway bars. The sway bars, let me see if I can get a shot of the sway bars. Both front and back, they're pretty beefy with some bracing. Okay, I don't know if you can see it, but I'm gonna try to maneuver the camera. So the sway bar, it's all white line. I really like the white line parts. I mean, I'm not a white line distributor, but all of their stuff has been very decent so far, and I've put since I put it on probably 20,000 miles or so. So, you know, exhaust, obviously, cat back is new. I eliminated the resonators, so it's straight pipe. It's pretty loud. There's a pitch stop mount. If a lot of people have the complaint, and I had a similar complaint, you know, when you shift, the whole drivetrain would move. So I added a parent pitch stop mount, which does the job tremendously. So you know, you don't get any of that floppiness that you would get. So let's see if we can get a peek under the hood. I've actually replaced the brake lines. I've replaced, you know, everything is upgraded. I didn't want to replace anything with stock parts, but you see under the hood it's fairly stock. You know, there's some little upgrades. You know, the ignition wires. It has that Canon air filter, but you know, it's inside. It's not a cone filter. I actually have one that I was going to install, but you know, it's a work in progress. So you know, and the reason I didn't want to go too crazy with the motor is because eventually I was gonna replace the whole thing. But I have serviced it. I've serviced it, you know, above and beyond what the dealer would recommend. It runs like a champ. I do clean the engine bay once a month or so. Keep it clean, you know. So it's you know, as far as the performance, you know, with the increased you know, with the exhaust upgrade, which is, I think it's a 3-inch cat back, which is you know, allows it to breathe easier, and the air filter, and also we have a map. I'm not quite sure what it is. I actually wasn't the one that did it. And we have bigger injectors. We have few little things, few little hints here and there that, you know, it's not a massive boost in performance, but better than stock. Obviously, anything's better than stock. You know, these things kind of fade out after 3,000 RPM. So I kind of try to compensate for that lack of not having the turbo. I don't know if you're going to be able to see the pitch stop mount. There it is. It's a little hard to see. Let me see if I can maneuver the camera in there. There it is. So that does wonders for overall shifting feel. Obviously, it's a manual. We don't like any automatics. Automatics are pointless. They're for pensioners. And I'm not there yet, so I'm not buying an automatic anytime soon. So let's close this thing up. Let's see, what else can I tell you about this thing? Many suspension upgrades. There's not much left of the suspension that's still original. It's, you know, a lot of people do the STI swap, you know, the WRX swap. They swap out the suspension, and I tried that. It was just not right. The car's too heavy for that. So the Swift springs, although they're still a little high than what I would like, but if any of you know how high these cars are stock, you would know these things are way too high. So the Swift springs do a pretty decent job, and the KYB struts are pretty decent as well. Coincidentally, I actually blew out my set of brand new KYB shocks, XLGs or whatever they're called, And I guess because the range of motion is outside, you know, if you really pack it on, it doesn't. If you make the car heavy, it doesn't. You know, there's a good chance you're going to blow them out with the lowering spring, especially on this type of setup. So I try not to run it heavy. The exhaust, I don't remember what the brand is. It wasn't cheap, I know that. The exhaust, it's dual. Like I said, it's upgraded. What else we have? I mean, we have everything underneath is undercoated. The rear brakes are stock. They're brand new stock, as you can see. You know, they're brand spanking new. And the front ones, I think this was a little while ago, they were pulled directly from a WRX. It was almost a new WRX of I think it was like a 2014 or 13, and I opted for the cross drilled rotors. I don't know if they make any difference, but they do look better. So yeah, it does stop pretty decent. Like I said, it's not an XT, so you can't expect the that turbo performance. But you know, I'll probably do the swap. So we'll do another video once the swap is done. So let's take a look at the interior. It's pretty plain Jane Subaru, and you know, that's one of the things that I really enjoy about these things. They're honest cars. You know, they're not. A lot of people complain about, hey, you know, the interior is not fancy enough, the plastics are cheap, and you know, I'm not going to argue with that. It is cheap, but the car itself is cheap. You know, it's not an expensive car. There's the party piece, I guess. The panoramic sunroof, you gotta love this thing. I absolutely love this thing. So yeah, it's it's my little workhorse. It's my primary source of transportation. It's let's get behind the wheel. And so we are ready to take this thing for a spin, and this time I didn't forget to close the windows. I'm not going to forget to close the windows like I did last time, so you guys can hear me. Windows closing. Now the unfortunate part, and you know, I'm not big into AC, so I never charge my AC. I always have the windows open. I like to get that wind in the hair. So I don't know if the AC is gonna work, so we'll give it a try. It's really hot outside. You see me sweating. It's like 90 degrees outside. So let's see if the AC works. Seems to be. I mean, it's kind of early to tell. I just turned it on. Well, whatever it is. Okay, so first thing, one of the upgrades is short throw shifter. It was a fairly simple install, but it does make a big difference. You know, it's short, it's very precise, and like I was saying earlier, with the pitch stop mount, you know, the shifting is very crisp. It almost you know, it feels more sophisticated in a way. I don't know. I mean, I associate you know, Subaru with you know, I love Subarus, but like I said, you know, you have to have certain expectation. You can't compare Subaru to a BMW just the same way you can't, you know, it has a different flavor. So you wouldn't expect for the shifting to be so direct, especially on the Forester. But with the short throw and pitch stop mount, those, you know, if you have any manual Subaru, make sure you get the short throw and then get the pitch stop mount. Make sure to get the pitch stop mount. It's the best investment you can get, and the shifting becomes so much smoother. You know, what it does basically is the pitch stop mount on a factory unit, it has huge bushings, and it allows the whole drivetrain to move like this, side to side, when you put it in gear, and you really feel that sloppiness when you drive, when you shift gears. And once you replace that, if you replace it like with a parent, with a performance version of the pitch stop mount, it has almost no bushings. Some of them are just plain metal, so it does not allow for the motor to move around, and it's not harmful to your drivetrain. You know, it's only thing it does is makes the shifting better. Now, one of the reasons why the factory has those crappy rubber that makes it move side to side is because the rubber translates less vibration through the shift knob. But to be quite honest with you, I don't give a shit I don't care if it vibrates, as long as it feels crisp, it shifts directly, it performs well. So that's I think that's enough for the upgrades. I already mentioned the suspension stuff, the polyurethane bushings and all kinds of stuff. The suspension is nothing stock about it. I mean, the suspension is fully custom. So it might look like a Forester, but believe me, I can take a corner. I actually was racing, and I was stupid enough to race a WRX. Obviously, he burned me, but when we came to the corner, he slowed down. I didn't. And I passed him on the corner. Obviously, once he caught up to me, he blew by me. I don't have a turbocharged engine, and my car is much, 300 pounds heavier than his. So anyhow, but the suspension, I wanted to make sure it handles properly. And, I guess now we can put it in gear and get going. You'll feel more vibration coming through the car as we move. Obviously, it doesn't have that floppy crap that Subaru put this car originally. I don't understand who the hell needs almost 9 inches of ground clearance on the Forester. What the hell do you need that for? It was just too high, and it was so floppy. It was just moving around side to side. Felt like a boat. So I figured, what, there must be a solution, and I found it. And most of the suspension came from Whiteline, and Whiteline offers awesome, sway bars, the bushings, and I also replaced the steering rack bushings and the control. We pressed new control arm polyurethane bushings. We actually replaced the control arms with aluminum control arms. So I mean, on and on and on and on and on. The spending never stops. To be quite honest with you, and I wouldn't want my wife to find out, is I probably spent over 10 grand on this thing. But it's fun, I mean, I wish it was a turbo. I can't say, but it is a everyday car, and I enjoy driving it. Obviously, I have other cars if I wanted to, if I wanted to go to the track or do something else, this wouldn't be my go-to car, but definitely it's not bad. It's a grocery getter. Oh man! But it does drive well for what it is. You can't compare it to a WRX. It's not a WRX. First of all, it's naturally aspirated. I want to make that very clear. It doesn't have the performance figures that no matter what I've done to it, it's unless I put a turbo on it, it's still going to be slower than the WRX. But the thing is, it's an easy, more or less easy swap. These models, Subarus, tend to make the parts that are kind of interchangeable. If you do your research, like this exhaust I have on this thing, you probably can hear it through the camera, is from it's an upgraded exhaust that was selling for WRX. And I called up the retailer and I said, hey, will it fit a Forester? He said, hell no. And I still bought it. I said, I know they're the same. And I bolted it on. It bolted on like factory. It was actually bolted on better than factory. So it was an easy mod, bolt on, that's it. All the stuff, all the WRX stuff has more or less fit. Some little things, obviously the cosmetic stuff is not going to fit, but the rest is pretty decent. Now let's give it some beans. You can hear the exhaust. I can't give it too much beans. It's actually rush hour traffic now, so trying to avoid it by going on side streets, but that's not that helpful. So yeah, it's the bumps, you can feel the bumps more than on the on the stock version, but overall, it's well worth it, considering how well it drives compared to the stock version of the same car. So it's a very little trade-off. The benefit outweighs the cost. the car to put me to sleep. I want the car to excite me, to even scare the shit out of me. Like, I've driven an old 911, and that thing, you give it a little too much gas on the turn, and that thing will scare you, believe me. I don't care if you're a professional driver. You would, you would respect it. You would respect it. So, let's make a little U-turn here before we get into this whole rush hour craziness. And this is the worst road in the area. I mean, this is almost like off-roading. We'll go through, and I don't know how shaky the camera is going to be. This is pretty bad. I don't know why they don't fix it. Actually, cars avoid this road. But I still have the ground clearance to clear all this bumpy stuff. A little chop. It's like they say on the airplane. It's getting a little choppy. And you got to slow down because... Let me see. So, it does handle the bumps well. You see the bicyclist just passed us. But, you can't go any faster on this stuff. Unless you want to break something. Okay, you know what? I'm going to turn around. I'm not going to go all the way. I hate this road. But, the car is very composed. Very well composed. For a Subaru. Now, if this was a BMW, I'd say, hey, the chassis keeps flexing, and I would have more complaints. But my expectations are a little lower because it's a Subaru. But that doesn't mean it's a worse car. It's much cheaper than a BMW. People that know me, I'm a BMW nut. But I also love Subarus, and my expectation for the Subaru is different than the expectation for a BMW. I don't care if it's not, if it's not a civilized, upscale type of car. I just, for whatever it offers, it is a pretty cool car for the money. Everything has that value equation, and I think this fits perfectly. You can pick one of these up for under 10 grand, and a pretty decent one. Obviously, you can't pick it up, and what I did to mine is maybe a little bit on the extreme side. I shouldn't say extreme. I've seen people put 100 grand in these types of cars, but I would say it's not usual to have someone modify a Forester. In fact, we just went to auto show, and we were the only guys with the Forester there. They actually called us. One of the guys were screaming out when we were approaching. There comes the granny mobile, and I'm not offended. I like the fact that I can use it to go to Home Depot. It has a few door dings. I'm not crying over it. It's not absolutely perfect, but I try my best to maintain it the best that I can. It has, what I really love about it, one of the things, is that it's easy. It is simple and honest. It is, you get what you paid for type of deal. It's easy to work on. It's approachable. I mean, a lot of people are going to disagree with me with the easy to work on thing. I was like, well, what the hell is this guy talking about? It's a boxer motor. It's flat. How do you get how do you do a head gasket job? And I agree, that part is hard. But, compared to like a new E90, which I used to own, it is easier. You can do some of the stuff without taking it to the dealer. We have a lot of equipment at the shop, but we're still, we don't have we don't have the dealer equipment, and I can do everything on this car basically by myself or at the shop. We can do anything and everything almost at the but with the BMW some things were just dealer only things that we couldn't do. So this car is pretty decent in that sense. So if you're a handy guy, this car is, unless you're doing head gaskets, those things suck. I've done them once. It was a nightmare. I should have pulled the motor out. I was debating pull the motor out or not. And the people are not for the people that are not familiar with Subarus, why head gasket, even valve cover gasket jobs are so nasty in these cars because there's no room. There's no room. The motor's flat. To remove all this crap, you basically have to tear the whole thing down or remove it. A lot of people just pull it out, and a lot of people, like I talked to one guy that was saying that, are you nuts? Why didn't you just pull the motor out? It would have been easier. And I don't know if he's right or wrong, because I didn't go that route. I'm guessing that he had a point when he was advising me on how to do the head gasket job. And I wasn't happy. It took me a long time. It was frustrating, but still I did it by myself, which I guess I could do the same in the Beamer or whatever, but it's more approachable. It is much more approachable. So servicing, that type of stuff, it's pretty good. I mean, if you're thinking of buying one of these things, depending what you're looking for. If you're looking for, a luxury car, refinement, and fragrance, one of those, fragrance, what's called injected mood lighting type of crap. No, this isn't the car for you. But if you want a practical, honest day, the workhorse, the Subarus are awesome. I mean, the Subarus are awesome. The value per dollar is unbeatable. I think it is the best money you can spend, on a car. And I'm not talking about, a specific Forester, but any Subaru. And the reason I say this is because you get an awesome all-wheel drive, cheap. You get a pretty decent motor, and a lot of people complain or whatever. Listen, I have almost 200,000 on this car, and I've done almost nothing to it that I had to do. All of the stuff that I did to it is because I wanted to change the car's handling characteristic. So, it's I could have left it just the way it was, and it would have been fine. So, I think it's a great car for family. I think it's a great car for anyone that wants to. Actually, I have a friend of mine who's a contractor. He owns a business. I don't know, they build houses, decks, and stuff like that. And he has a Forester just like mine, and he uses it as a truck. Granted, his suspension is blown out. But he's been using it like a truck for many years. And it still runs great. He has about 150k on it, 140k. It runs great, looks great. Interior is all dirty and disgusting. I couldn't live with it. But if you treat it like a work truck, that's what it is to you. Who cares? It's a decent car. As you're riding with me, you notice, mine is not really stock, and I wish we had some corners here. I could tell you what, I could show you exactly what it can do, but unfortunately, we're kind of in the rush hour time, and there's a lot of cars around, and cops around, so we don't want to get any tickets. So, yeah, that's, basically, if I had to summarize